Welcome to a big night of college basketball on ESPNU, the first of a triple header. Action tonight, rematch of a high-scoring game 3 weeks ago between Buffalo and Bowling Green. This game's significant because of seeding. Buffalo, with house money, has already wrapped up the top seed. Bowling Green can wrap up a home game with a win tonight. Ratings, Jim Barber, the coach, Rob Kennedy. Nick Perkins of Buffalo is the best sixth man in the Mid-American Conference. Arguably, he's one of the best sixth men in reserves, I think, coach, in the country.
Well, he's a guy who can clearly start for anybody in this league, but he enjoys coming off the bench. Last year, he was the MAC Sixth Man of the Year. You can put it in stone. He'll be the Sixth Man of the Year this year. He can bully inside, but he's much different. The best big guy in the league because he doesn't just hang inside, because he can also step outside, knock down the three. First time these two teams met, he was 3 of 4 from deep. He is a guy that can dominate when he gets into game. We won't see him right off the bat, but you're going to see him a lot.
He is likely to be the repeat MAC Sixth Man of the Year, averaging almost 17 a game, 6 rebounds, and shooting at 48%. And since December 19th, has come off the bench in every game, and in every game really has been quite productive. For Bowling Green, just one senior tonight, so on senior night they'll salute Matt Fox. And we'll introduce you to a mystery player that has joined the roster for tonight and the MAC tournament. As we go along on our broadcast tonight, a lot of fun stories that have developed with the Falcons over the last few days, even though they've struggled as of late. Mike Huger is still keeping a very positive attitude about his team. Nate Oates, year number 3. Well, what can you say about this guy and the job he has done replacing Bobby Hurley?
Yeah, took the Bulls to the NCAA tournament in his first year, and now this year they've wrapped up their first ever #1 seed in the MAC Conference tournament.
Oates' wife Crystal and kids would be here, but it was a snow day in Buffalo today, so no school. And there's Michael Huger, who started Bowling Green back in the late 80s and early 90s. Year number 3. He's been trying to keep things light for his team and get rid of some of the tension it might have as he gets closer to conference tournament play.
Yeah, they've got a young team that's on a 4-game slide. That slide started with the loss up in Buffalo. Had been playing well prior to that game, came into it having won 4 out of 5, but the Bulls turned them sideways.
Home white for the Bowling Green Falcons. And the baby blue uniforms belong to the Buffalo Bulls. Bulls at 22-8, Bowling Green 16-14. And this is the 37th chapter. Series tied at 18-18. The first game you likely saw a few weeks ago on ESPNU. Up and down the court we went. 177 total points scored. Wouldn't be surprised, Rob, if we see more of that tonight.
No, certainly Buffalo's a team that wants to get out and run, and certainly on the other side, Bowling Green, they're not afraid to let you run. They're last in the MAC in scoring defense. They give up 77 points per game. As
of yesterday's NCAA numbers, the Bulls with the 13th highest scoring average in the country at 84-7. Wes Clark, Ikenna Smart, back to Clark, back to Smart. That was quick.
Well, that's the way you move the basketball, and they share it so well. One of the things that the Bulls do throughout the season, tops in the MAC at 17 assists per game. And when they beat Bowling Green in the first game, they had 24 assists on 32 field goals.
The Falcons starting 5 includes Matt Fox getting a chance to start as a senior. Nice gesture from his head coach. Fox, again, the only senior on this team.
Yeah, the former walk-on, now a scholarship player, leads the MAC in three-point field goal percentage.
That's a 3 right there. A little long by Antoine Lillard, and here come the Bulls. Going to have to run with him tonight. Jeremy Harris misses on the layup. And taken down by Fry, and now the Falcons are pushing. The outstanding freshman, Justin Turner. Fox, by the way, big hero against Eastern Michigan earlier this season with a game-tying 3. And in another game against Eastern Michigan, 6 threes. Fry and a drive to the basket. You know, a few weeks ago, Coach, he had 4 air balls at Buffalo. So maybe they want to get him a little closer to get things going nicely tonight.
Well, the scouting report is run him off the three-point line, so you've got to have an answer for that. That answer was a wide-open layup.
Like a free throw for Jeremy Harris, the guard out of Greensboro, North Carolina, and already we're off to a swift start in this game.
And you can't forget about Harris. Everybody focuses in on Massenberg as well as Perkins, rightfully so, but Harris can be their X factor.
Buffalo with the trap. Now Harris gets back to position. Leaves a wide open Fox. C.J. Massenberg for three, and it already is 7-2 Bulls.
And there's a quick shot in transition, and that's what you got to do. And one of the things when we talked to Mike Huger, said transition defense is so important, but transition defense for them starts at the other end of the floor. Running good offense, taking some time, and getting good shots so that you don't allow Buffalo to get on the run.
And not turning the ball over. They swing it left side, Antoine Lillard. And speaking of turnovers, the junior guard from Cleveland commits one right there. And so now the Bulls back on offense again. And there's the look at the fast break. And Christian Jalen Massenberg with a wind-up catch-and-shoot three.
He's top 10 in the league in both three-point field goals made as well as shooting it at 40%. That puts him in the top 10. And he gets a lot of those in transition.
So a quick start to the #1 team in the MAC East and also the #1 seed in the MAC tournament. Ikenna Smart now has 2 baskets in the game. Make that Nick Perkins, and he now has come off the bench and has scored immediately.
And pick your poison in that pick and roll situation. You got to stop Massenberg, but if you step up to try and rotate, Perkins going to make you pay at the rim.
Fox for three. What he does, and he does it well.
Exactly. When he's got time like he did right there, he's just about automatic.
Devontae Jordan dropped down to Perkins. Too easy right now for this Bulls offense.
Yeah, perfect pocket pass. And if you're going to get the ball into the post with post feeds, it's got to be with the bounce pass, as you saw.
Perkins 6th in scoring in the MAC, as you see by the numbers. And Buffalo 16th in the country in assists per game with 17. And already the pace favors them. They love to get that ball in transition. Devontae Jordan dropped down Perkins, who now has 3 field goals in what, a minute and a half?
Seems like he started, right? I mean, he was off that bench quickly. And as we said, as soon as he comes into the game, he's getting right at it.
Well, the Bulls are already on a 100-point pace, and then some. Justin Turner. And nothing but blue jerseys to come up with the rebound.
The way you stop them from running is by putting the ball in the basket. You miss shots, and they're going to run out.
The Bulls are 6 for 7 on field goal attempts. Make that 7 for 8 as Devontae Jordan scores, and Michael Huger says, timeout. In 4 minutes, the Bulls have recorded 7 field goals and 15 points, Rob.
Well, they've shot it at 50% or above in 9 straight games, and right now they're getting good shots and converting out to the big league.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Volkswagen Tiguan, the not-so-compact SUV, Dr. Scholl's Custom Fit Orthotics, and the DQ Chicken Strip Basket with 100% all-white meat chicken, only at your DQ.
If you're a Kent State fan, you remember those pictures last year from Quicken Loans Arena. Rob Senderoff's team started as the 6th seed and had to play on a Monday night prior to Cleveland and had to win a double overtime game just to get to Cleveland. Now, these are the matchups if the tournament would begin tonight, but as you know, it doesn't begin until really Monday. And so because of all the action tonight, seeds 3 all the way to the bottom are still very much up for the grabs, Ron.
Yeah, and one of the things, as you saw last year when Kent State made that run from the 6th seed to win it all, you can win it by having to win 4 games, especially the way that it's set up in the MAC, where that first game potentially can be at home on Monday, and then you don't travel to Cleveland until Thursday. So playing that extra game isn't such a big deal.
Dante Carruthers now in the game at one of the guard spots. He can also swing to the forward. He's number 20, along with Javon Graves, the freshman guard from Malvern, Ohio. A white-hot start for Buffalo. Missing just once.
Well, I'll tell you what, they hit it at such a great rate, but they get great shots. Just about every possession right now, they've gotten a clean open look at the rim, and that time dribble penetration and kick to the corner for the open 3.
And even in a game that really doesn't mean much to them in terms of a division championship or a seed, top seed, they're playing as if this game is significant.
Yeah, but I like the way that Nate Oates attacked this game. He told you and I at shoot-around today, he said, listen, for us, we're making this as if it's our first round tournament game. And boy, his team is playing like it's a survive and advance situation.
Just missing once, now twice. Taken down by Justin Turner, who will lead the break, and he collides. And fortunately for him, it's going to be a blocking foul on Javon Graves, who just moments ago in limited activity in tonight's game, and his presence known for the Bulls.
But look at this offense. Nice handoff. You force the switch. You draw the defense, kick it out to the wide open three. That's great execution on the offensive end.
And I don't think it's a surprise. They're the team that's picked as the favorite to win the Mid-American Conference Tournament. They're going to have to win 3 games, just like anyone else that gets to Cleveland with a bye. But right now, they are playing as well as anybody, and frankly, I think they're going to be dangerous if they get to the NCAA tournament.
Well, they're certainly a team, the way that they're built, that could make some noise, but it's always hard to get there. And talking to Nate Oates, he said, you know, it doesn't matter that we've been the best team for 18 games throughout the regular season. It's only going to matter if we're the best team for 3 games in Cleveland.
A few years ago, they had a double bye for the teams that finished 1 and 2. That's gone away in the MAC. So now you got to earn it a little bit more difficult. And on the drive to the goal, Javon Graves is fouled. And we talked about Nate Oates, who in season number 3 had worked 2 previous years under Bobby Hurley, won the MAC tournament, as Coach mentioned, in his first year, and also won a state title where Wes Clark was a member of that team.
And certainly that state championship at Romulus High School, and 3 straight years they were in the top 25 in the country. And we've seen a couple of guys, especially recently. I think of Danny Hurley and all that he's done at URI, who got his first head coaching job after being a head coach at the high school level. And we've seen guys that have been able to build their resume at that level, step in and win games.
Tomorrow night, Coach, 8:15 Eastern, Part 2, college basketball's greatest rivalry, a sonic blockbuster. North Carolina rated 9th, Duke number 5. They have split the last 100 meetings, and this one will be at Cameron Indoor after Carolina won the regular season matchup earlier this year, the first of 2, 82-78 in Chapel Hill. Roderick Caldwell on the drive to the basket, and Rod's going to get a chance to shoot a couple of free throws here. That was a nice gesture from the head coach of Bowling Green, Michael Huger, to bring over every individual to shake hands with us prior to the conclusion of practice today. And it's always fun to tease the kids about what you know about them, if they have a nickname or, you know, a full name that they don't use. Caldwell, who turned 20 on January 8th, majoring in construction management.
He got off to such a great start of the season, was averaging over 15 a game in his first 8 games, and really hasn't done much as of late. In the last 6 games, just averaging 2 points per game, so this game has left him a bit.
It's a good free throw shooting team, and they'll need Falcons every point they get a chance at tonight. Jordan running the point right now for Buffalo. Montrell McCray. Boy, everybody that touches the ball scores in this one.
And I love that action, because off the high ball screen, as they dive to the post, it sucks the defense in, and then you just bring back out. They've knocked down threes, but Jim, they've been good open looks from deep.
And overall, the Bulls, Robert, 8 for 10 from the floor.
It's a pretty good start, Jim.
Yeah, tough pass there for Jeffrey Uju. Now in the drive to the basket, good underhand layup by Justin Turner, just 19 years of age, and again, he's going to be a terrific player in this league. Dante Carruthers on the other end. It took him, what, 3 seconds, maybe less, to counter Turner's basket?
And here we've got some pace going now.
And Turner on the drive to the goal is fouled, and he's got a couple of free throws coming up. Justin Turner. Starring for Bowling Green.
Here's how they scored so well. See right there, and as you dive, you draw the defense in, you kick it back. McCray with a wide open look, plenty of time to tee it up.
And the beauty of this start, besides being a sensational 10 of 12 from the floor, is that 8 different players have scored.
That's one of the things about this Buffalo team. You can't key on 1 or 2 guys. I mean, they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th players compared to everybody else in the MAC. There's a pretty good gap between those guys.
16-3 edge in bench points. If Buffalo sees Toledo in the finals, It'll be just the second meeting of the year. Now the steal by Jordan. You're not going to catch him.
And that's what Nate Oates was preaching. If we can turn our defense intensity up just a little bit, then all of a sudden our offense just gets kicking.
He was quoted in the Buffalo News lately as saying, I'm not worried about our offense, and he shouldn't be, but I am worried about our defense. And he went back to what, defensive fundamentals the last couple of days, maybe?
Yeah, he said, at times we got so concerned about scouting reports and we were playing, not necessarily defense, but playing and worrying about what teams were running. So they just got back to the little old school defensive fundamentals, a little shell drill. And since then, they've fouled less and have played better D.
Finally, a miss by the Bulls by Massenberg. That leads to a long outlet pass. Koch tried a three earlier. Instead, he'll go inside. And that ball now loose on the floor. The Bulls pick it up, and we have a tie-up. It'll stay on this end, but we have a timeout, and the Bulls off to a terrific start, leading 27-10. It's pretty hard to run with the Bulls.
Yeah, horns up, everything up, getting it done on the defensive end and just convert at such a high rate.
Two shades of blue collide in a Sonic blockbuster rematch. UNC Duke, Saturday at 8:15 on ESPN.
Jim Barber, Rob Kennedy, Carolina and Duke tomorrow night for another sellout at Cameron Indoor Stadium. As you know, the place will be electric. 247th meeting. The Edge to North Carolina, defending national champions. First meeting was back on January 24th, 1920. And oh, by the way, you ever get a chance to read a book on the rivalry? Even if it's biased, the stories are incredible, and how the intensity between those two schools goes way back.
And look at that last nugget right there. 45th time that they've both been ranked in the top 10. You wonder why this is the best rivalry in college basketball? That's the most in poll history by 31. I mean, 3 times more than any other matchup.
Incredible. It's with us tomorrow night on ESPN 8:15 start. Here it's the Bulls 27 and the Falcons 10. As Buffalo hasn't missed much from the outside, or for that matter,
inside, outside, doesn't matter. All 3 levels.
Yeah. Contact inside spotted. That'll be a foul on Buffalo. Likely on Kenneth Smart, the junior forward from Nigeria, who enjoys reggae and playing the piano in his spare time. Buffalo won't have much spare time after this game. The Bulls' plan is to get to Cleveland as early as next Tuesday. Tough movement inside by DiMaggio Wiggins. And what did Nate Oates, the Buffalo coach, tell us about Wiggins? He's a beast. And he says, look, he's one of the best defensive rebounders in college basketball, Wiggins. And for that matter, not a bad offensive rebounder either.
Oh, and he gets so many touches. They play through him, especially coming down the stretch. He's had 6 consecutive double-doubles, 15 on the season, and they pound the basketball into him.
Wiggins is 6'10", 240 pounds, been averaging a double-double this season. Hails from Toledo, Ohio, and that's not too far here from the Bowling Green campus. This whole area rocked by a major snowstorm last night that put together some 6 to 8 inches with a lot of wind. A nor'easter that hit the East Coast had certainly some standing here as well. That's a deep 3, a little bit too strong for Jeremy Harris. And now contact and the ball out of bounds to Bowling Green.
And that's Smarts.
Pun intended, right?
Yeah, when it kind of Smarts coming down on top of you, landed right on top of Matt Fox, and he took the worst of that.
Let's see now. Smart is 241, and Fox is 190. So that's, 50 pounds? 51 pounds? Here's Justin Turner. Held to 8 of 19 shooting the last time Bowling Green played Buffalo.
That is just great on the ball defense by Wes Clark.
Won't let Rod Caldwell breathe.
Yeah, can't even get to the high ball screen.
Now Turner with 3 to shoot. I don't know if he recognizes it. Shot clock violation on Bowling Green.
I thought so too. Late whistle, but the correct call because it didn't hit the rim. I thought the ball wasn't out of his hands before that went off.
And if the shot is taken and the ball is being fought for, Doesn't mean the shot clock stops. It continues until somebody gets possession. And if the team shooting the ball has possession, then they've run out of clock.
Yep, didn't hit the rim either way.
Bulls missed early on that one. Kenna Smart, though, will, with the offensive rebound, go to the line to shoot a couple. Smart had 300 rebounds in one high school season in Greensboro, North Carolina. And he starts. Nick Perkins, best sixth man in the conference, replaces him early. Two more Saturday Showcase games presented by 5 Hour Energy. Number 6 Kansas, all 5 starters in double figures. The regular season champs for the 14th straight year against Mike Boynton and his Oklahoma State team, which, by the way, won at Fog Allen Fieldhouse earlier in the year. And then it's Louisville and North Carolina State in Raleigh. And how does Louisville recover from last night's loss, where it gave up 5 points in under a second to lose to Virginia?
I saw the ESPN probability of that was 1.1. I think that was high. I think the probability was 0.5.
I was listening on the radio to HAS out of Louisville, and Bob Valvano, when he saw things starting to self-destruct for Louisville at the end, committing a foul didn't need to commit, then a baseline violation, that he said he couldn't watch the ending. And, he's associated with Louisville for years, besides being with ESPN. And the Cavaliers played that right out to the hilt as the three-pointer was banked in to win the game.
It's the only way they could have lost the game. First, they fouled Ty Jerome on a three-point shot. They don't foul him. Guess what? Even if he makes it, probably the clock runs out, the game's over.
Yeah.
And then they try to miss it. There's a line violation, not by Louisville, but by Virginia, which ended up helping the Cavaliers, because then Louisville violated on the baseline when they ran, when it was a dead ball spot and you couldn't move. And then all of a sudden you bank in a 3 at the buzzer to end up losing. You're right. That's about as hard as you could possibly see to lose a basketball game.
They have seen by the numbers Michigan State a winner today in a tight one with Wisconsin in the Big Ten quarterfinals, 63-60. Big Ten Conference Tournament at the Garden this year for the first time. Buffalo's missed a few in a row, but Bowling Green can't get much closer than 14. We do have contact inside and a foul called.
And Jim, Buffalo leads the MAC in offensive rebounds, and one of the reasons why I think they do is they do such a good job executing in their half-court offense. They force you to rotate, and when you rotate off the bigs to try and stop the dribble penetration from Massenberg, Jordan, and different guys turning the corner, then all of a sudden Perkins, with his size as well as Smart, able to clear pretty good space on the offensive glass.
Now, their offensive numbers are scary. In the MAC alone, tops in points, assists and rebounds, second in field goal shooting, and second in assists to turnovers, and 13th in the country, as we mentioned earlier, in scoring. Top-rated team is just a couple of points higher. That's Villanova.
And they've been so consistent. 23 times they've scored 80 or more. That leads the country.
At halftime, Rob will pick Coach of the Year in the MAC, as well as Player of the Year and also Freshman of the Year. Buffalo's come out with a charge, leading by 16 in this game, and there's a turnover again on the part of Bowling Green. Buffalo's played almost a flawless turnover-free first half.
I'll tell you what, and if Nate Oates was worried about his defense, that message gotten across to his team, because they have been terrific defensively. Wes Clark has really started it off for his former high school coach, not allowing guys to get going any place. They haven't even been able to get into any semblance of half-court sets.
Not at all. Perkins misses on the inside, taken down by Wiggins. On the break, Turner. Let's see if there's a goaltend and a foul. We know there's a foul. No signal for 2 points on top of it. And so Justin Turner, the fine freshman from Detroit, Michigan, will go to the line. What do you think, Rob?
Well, here's the contact. I think it got the backboard first. I think that should have been 2. And the way they're struggling to score it, they need that 2.
Oh, yes. Turner, who suffered through an injury last year and had to observe, came out this year with a splendid first game performance, and in a lot of ways hasn't looked back. He's had some struggles, but this really is his first full year of competition.
If you think about it, he played 4 games last year, averaged less than 4 points, and in his first game against Drexel, he goes for 33. So do you think he made the most of that redshirt year?
It's like, I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. He put on some weight, worked on his game.
Jeremy Harris off the turnover, converts 2 more, and it is now 32. Make that 33-16. That's a 3 for Harris.
And sloppy offense once again comes back to bite Bowling Green. Had 18 turnovers last time out in the loss to Ohio. Got to take better care of the basketball.
Wiggins inside, gets the basket and gets contact as well. DiMaggio Wiggins was just kind of a walking double-double. And also is very splendid at the free throw line as well. The Bulls they've struggled a little bit on offense since that white-hot start.
Well, that's one of the few mistakes that Wiggins has made. Came up with the rebound, sloppy outlet pass. Ends up being an assist to Harris. Much like Massenburg, Harris in the top 10 in 3-point field goals made, as well as 3-point field goal percentage at 42%.
DiMaggio Wiggins up 30 points from his freshman year, shooting free throws from 37 to better than 67.
Yeah, he has improved each and every year. All of his numbers, rebounding, scoring, percentages, all have been up. And Mike Huger says he thinks those numbers can even get higher as he learns to play hard all the time with a motor that gets you going.
And you know, next year with just about everybody back, Bowling Green is going to be one of the favorites to possibly contend for a conference championship. Score here 33-19, winding down to the 8-minute mark of the first half. Turner.
Now, even when he has scored, it has been difficult. No easy looks for Turner, but you see how he can break you down off the bounce.
Turner has 7 of his team's 21. They have crept within 12. Harris, open look, right side key, in and out. Rebound, Turner. And a bad pass picked off by Massenburg. Massenburg has Clark. Instead, he takes it himself and scores.
How did he even get that ball up on the backboard, let alone knock it in? But another turnover allows the Bulls. It's the running of the Bulls when you turn it over, coming right at you.
Yeah, and you don't want to run with these Bulls. Ten to shoot it, 7:15 first half. Koch. And with that, timeout.
Well, everything going Buffalo's way because they've got so many guys and so many weapons to beat you. But Bowling Green trying to figure out if they can get back into the game. Their freshman star Turner, but here's the answer at the other end as Massenburg and the Bulls out to the 14-point lead.
Senior student manager Mitch Bailey tried out for this Bowling Green team, didn't make it, and so he stayed as a student manager until today when his head coach, Michael Huger, sent him to get his iPad just as a trick, I suppose, and they came up with a special jersey for him, which makes him now an official member of the team. He's on the bench tonight as a player. Bailey knew nothing about this. Watch his reaction, though, when he comes back into the room.
Forget about his reaction. How about the reaction of his teammates?
Special. Bailey was telling us during practice that he was shocked. And you know what? His coach says he's a good shooter. So we might see him if this game gets lopsided.
Certainly a big part of what they do, as all managers are. So before the game, his other fellow managers were honored as well as Matt Fox.
One of those moments I think that this team will never forget is Justin Turner now has 9, and Bowling Green starting to shoot the ball a little better.
Yeah, so on senior night, it's a freshman who once again is carrying them like he's done all season.
Want to join us for halftime when we look at the top coaches and players of the year in the MAC. Clark misses on the 3, and it's 1 and out for Buffalo. Here's Matt Fox, the only senior player prior to Bailey getting a uniform tonight. Basket here, cuts it to 10. The 3 gets it to single digits. And a great interception by Montrell McCray.
That's perfect post defense.
Dante Carruthers, known primarily for his defense,
Attacks
the goal and scores anyway.
Tell you what, he just set up the defense right there.
He did.
Didn't come up with the clean catch, so all of a sudden Coke got up on him quick. He blew right by him.
Yeah, 3 really good defenders on this team. And Carruthers, Devontae Jordan, and C.J. Massenberg.
Yeah, and don't forget about Wes Clark as well. So they've got the ability to be really good at the defensive end.
Under 6 for the first half. Wes Clark. Such calm out there for the Bulls. Graves on the drive, and he is going to the free throw line for Buffalo.
Here's Carruthers just setting it up as Coke gets out on him, blows right by. Good defense at the rim by Wiggins to kind of hold his ground, but a better finish right there by Carruthers. And if you're going to make that, you've got to put it on the glass like he did.
Javon Graves played at St. Vincent St. Mary's, the school famous for high school play and history of LeBron James. So guess who Graves' favorite professional athlete is?
Gotta be.
LBJ.
Play for the Fighting Irish there. You gotta be a LeBron fan.
Yes. LeBron has done a lot for not only the school, but also for the community of Akron, Ohio. 38 for Buffalo, 23 for Bowling Green. Bulls have yet to turn the ball over.
And remember, playing at a fast pace. It's not like they're walking the ball up the floor. They're running it at you.
Felt like they got off the bus and started to run, as that one on a pull-up jumper is nailed by Rod Caldwell. Massenberg, Graves again attacking the goal, not this time. Wiggins had it, and somehow saved by Caldwell. Caldwell now quickly in the front court as the Falcons try to get a little closer. They go to their main guy, Wiggins.
Nice up and under.
And he's going to the free throw line to shoot 2 more from Maggio Wiggins.
As we said, Caldwell, his offense has left him coming down the stretch, but a good pull-up jumper right there to get by the defender and make him pay.
By the way, the head coach of Bowling Green, Michael Huger, not only went with the special jersey presentation just hours ago to Mitch Bailey, but also to a wiffle ball game within the last couple of days. It was held on this very court in accordance to coaching rules. Michael's team won with a late rally.
He did mention he was 1 for 2.
Yeah, Janai Gatson had the game-tying homer. He's one of the substitutes for the Falcons.
He said with this young team, he said the biggest thing, physically you get worn down, but mentally trying to keep them loose and playing free. So he went to the old bag of tricks. He learned it from his college coach, Jim Larinaga, a guy who's not afraid to throw some different things at you.
I think players appreciate it.
Yeah, and again, just trying to keep them loose, especially coming down the stretch of such a long, taxing season mentally.
Perkins for 3, a little too strong, long rebound. Caldwell. Falcons, a 3 against 4. Still Turner will line it up and bury it. And Bowling Green with a 3. Now it's close with an 8. Well. What looked like a blowout to start has changed. You know what? Bowling Green says, hey, we can run too.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Esurance, auto and home insurance for the modern world. And Snickers, you're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfied.
On senior night, Matt Fox hoping this isn't the final game here at Bowling Green, because if the Falcons should upset the Bulls or Central Michigan lose its last regular season game, Bowling Green will play Monday night with the right to get to Cleveland. This is how the seeding looks. Buffalo's already wrapped up the 1 seed, regardless of what happens in this game, because it won its regular season game against Toledo. But just about every other seeding position, Rob, is there for the taking.
Yeah, number 1 and 2 locked up. Other than that, throw them all in the bag and see what goes here on the last day of the regular season.
What a pretty pass from Carruthers to Perkins, and when he gets a deep catch, forget about it.
And good execution coming out of the timeout to be able to try and stop the run by putting the basketball where you want.
Bowling Green trail by as many as 17. Had scored 7 straight points to cut the deficit to 8.
So coming out of the timeout, Nate Oates dictates where he wants the basketball. Good job, no weak side help to be able to keep the ball away from Perkins as he's able to get high enough up the lane, and then you can throw it and he can go get it.
Wiggins may take it himself. 4 to shoot it. And Turner's drive to the goal, contact. Nope, on the line. And so Bowling Green with a turnover. I'm really impressed with the way the Bulls have handled the basketball and not turned it over with any kind of regularity in the first half.
Absolutely. You also got to be impressed with their defensive intensity. I mean, they really guarded the basketball. As we've said, Turner's played well, but nothing's come easy for Justin Turner.
They have forced Turner to take some shots, which is what happened in the last meeting in which Buffalo won 93-82. C.J. Massenberg, not highly recruited out of Dallas, Texas, but a big-time find for Nate Oates and the Bulls.
Yeah, UB was really his only Division I offer, and because of that, he plays with that chip on his shoulder in a good sense. A good ball reversal. Look at the spacing. Everybody's worried about Perkins posting inside, and that allows Massenberg to step right in to another good look from deep.
Now, Massenberg swears that he looks like Anthony Davis. What do you think?
He needs a little bit more of the unibrow going.
Okay. But there is some resemblance, right?
There you go. We'll go with that.
3:15 remains first half. Devontae Jordan to the bench, the freshman from Cocoa, Florida. Second in assists last year for the Bulls. Second in assists in the league with 79. One thing they do very well is they complement each other, pass the ball well, and get a lot of hands in baskets.
Well, they've got unselfish players, and when you do that, you move the ball quickly and run good sets. That's why you lead the league in assists.
Harris switching hands, firing, and almost scoring.
And then when you've got so many offensive weapons and guys that can do a lot of different things. Like Harris is a terrific three-point shooter, but he's got good size at 6'7", can put the ball to the deck and get by guys. And because they all share it, and because they all have multiple offensive skills, they're really hard to guard, whether it's in the full court and transition offensively or in the half court.
Top scorers in this game so far include Justin Turner, who has 4 field goals in this game, and Nick Perkins, who already hit double figures with 10.
And that's the thing about Buffalo. They've already locked up the #1 seed, as we've said. When you say, okay, who's our potential player of the year candidate, that's a tough question for Nate Oates or anybody else around the program to answer. Without question, Massenberg's been their most consistent and probably is their player of the year candidate, but you can make a case for Perkins, who's going to be the 6th man of the year. Harris is a terrific player, and at times their X factor. And then Wes Clark, when he got into the mix, when he became eligible in December, that just changed how they played. And because everybody bought in and didn't worry about Clark coming back and taking minutes, they've had good chemistry. You had another high-level talent like Wes Clark into the mix. You can see why they're the favorite heading into Cleveland.
Nice credit to the youthful coaching of Nate Oates and Jim Whitesell, spent a number of years at Loyola. Ryan Hodgson, who handles a lot of the recruiting, and Jamie Quarles from Oak Hill Academy.
Yeah, when you got a guy like Jim Whitesell sitting next to you as well, who's got 23 years as a head coach at the Division I, Division II, and Division III level, and that gives you a good guy to be able to bounce stuff off of.
Absolutely. Turner again inside, not this time. And the tap out taken by Dante Carruthers, who has to give it up to Wes Clark. And you're not going to handle Nick Perkins inside with that position.
Not even Wiggins, who's one of the best rebounders in the league, is going to be able to handle them, keep them off the offensive glass.
Bulls again with numbers. Catch and shoot three, Massenberg. Usually hit that. Instead, it's pulled down by Antoine Lillard, who's had a quiet game so far. Fox open three. Once again, the pace picks up, favoring Buffalo. Clark. Well, since that 10 of 12 shooting to start the game, Rob, Buffalo has been human.
And certainly Clark, one of the guys who hasn't been able to find a range. He's 0 for 5 from the field so far tonight.
So it remains with about 90 seconds to go, 47-32. Tough catch for Turner. Can't get it inside. He'll try again, and now he's headed to the free throw line. If there's one area that Nate Oates is really concerned about, or has been anyway, is the personal foul situation. The Bulls are one of the worst teams in the country at that. In fact, 334 out of 351 in amount of fouls committed, 643. But Oates said earlier today he thinks they're getting a handle on that, and because they're looking at their defense a little stronger and trying to go back to some of the mechanics that got them to where they need to be, that they're playing better in terms of fouls. 8:15 Eastern, that's tomorrow night, ESPN, Part 2. College basketball's greatest rivalry. It's a Sonic blockbuster. Tar Heels and the Blue Devils at Cameron Indoor. Number 9, North Carolina, and number 5, Duke. That's streaming live on the ESPN app. And between the two schools in the last 100 meetings, they're separated by 7 points.
I mean, it's crazy how close that rivalry's been, especially as of late.
It's also on the night that ABC has the Celtics and the Rockets. What a night for basketball. Perkins, an opportunity to shoot twice.
As we said, you can see why he's so hard to guard, Jim. He is a load inside. I mean, he can just bully you in the post. Then he steps out, and even though that shot is flat, he still shoots it at a decent enough percentage that you got to keep him honest from deep. Comes in at 33% on the season, and it's not like he's taken 10 of them. He's taken 93 threes coming into the game.
And Perkins has 12 to lead Buffalo in scoring. Instruction moments ago for Graves and for Carruthers. Down to a minute remaining in the first half. Stick around at halftime. We'll talk about some of the MAC awards that Rob Kennedy thinks should be given out on the eve of the conference tournament, which will begin Monday night at campus sites. And what a pretty play by Justin Turner.
Well, they tried to keep him away from the high ball screen, so instead of forcing it, he took what the defense gave him.
McCray missing
Wow.
3, and who else?
He owns the paint right now.
Boy, does he ever. That's 14 now for Perkins.
And again, a lot of times he's been matched up with Wiggins. Wiggins on the bench right now, so it's not as if he's been bullying a small guy in there. Wiggins has come in with 6 consecutive double-doubles, averages over 10 rebounds per game. Yet Perkins has been dominant.
6-second difference between play clock, game clock. Caldwell knocks down the jumper. One last chance for Buffalo with 5 seconds to go. Harris will try a 3. The Bulls, the number 1 team in the Mid-American Conference and the top seed, have half 100.
Well, they came out on fire, knocking down 10 out of their first 12 shots. Good offensive performance, but their defense was good as well.
Coach, on the backside of the break, a feature on Jalen Brunson. And we'll take a look at our MAC postseason award candidates, plus highlights and stats. Buffalo 50, Bowling Green 37.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Walt Disney World Resort and the Volkswagen Tiguan, the not-so-compact SUV.
Just about ready to start the second half. Jim Barber, Rob Kennedy. Rob, it is hard to believe that Buffalo in the first half, in scoring 50 points, did not commit a single turnover.
Oh, and they were playing fast. They got out, were running, knocked down 10 out of their first 12 shots, played terrific offense. But I tell you what, Jim, their defense was real good to set things up for their offense.
In fact, the Bulls took the lead early and really have not given it up since the beginning of this game.
As we said, they came out running and they came out on fire, knocked down their first 3 threes, and when they do that, especially whether it's in transition or executing out of their half court, they put you on your heels and put you in trouble. If they're knocking down shots from the outside, you've got to have an answer. For Bowling Green, that answer all season long has been the terrific freshman in Justin Turner. He certainly had a very good half, trying to keep him in the ball game with 14 points, but in the end, it was just way too much Nick Perkins. We talk about his ability to beat you from the outside, but he can pound you inside, whether it's on the backboards or whether it's just on post-ups and clear-outs as well. He absolutely dominated the paint inside. His teammates finding him, doing a good job, and then he has been able to deliver as he's done all season long.
And the first half numbers, the Bulls certainly cooled off from their 10 of 12 start from the floor. But again, it's the lack of turnovers and the terrific bench scoring led by Perkins that have been the difference in this second meeting between the two schools.
And in that first meeting, Buffalo was up by 15 at the half, and then Bowling Green came out on an 11-0 run to start things off in the second. Let's see if they can replicate that here.
Well, the Falcons have 7 wins this year in which they trail by double digits.
Yeah, twice down 19, they battled back for wins against Kent State and Eastern Michigan.
So they certainly have the ability. Fry with a catch and shoot 3 is off the mark. He had a tough game in Buffalo with a few air balls, but the ball will stay after that shot on the side of Bowling Green.
And a very quiet first half, just got 2 field goal attempts for Fry in his 9 minutes.
Buffalo's done a nice job of marking him to make sure that he doesn't get those open 3 looks that can get this crowd going. Justin Turner, who has averaged well into double figures for the season, he's added 14 pounds to his frame, and after practice today, he said going to be working on his strength and conditioning and also his diet. His brother's been teasing him lately, saying, look, you're huffing and puffing too much, going up and down the court. You got to cut down on those cookies.
Well, he plays a lot of minutes, and they put a lot on his shoulder for a young freshman. But remember, this is a very young team. They've got 6 freshmen as well as 3 sophomores.
And he played just 4 games last year. But how does a college kid give up cookies or try to?
It's impossible. Every place you turn, they're there.
Yeah, Girl Scout cookies particularly. And Turner said he's going to do his best. Handoff to Wes Clark. Clark, a senior guard, one of the few seniors the Bulls have. They'll be picked to win this league again next year. And on the drive to the goal, an offensive foul called on C.J. Massenberg. First personal foul on him, and the first turnover of the entire game for Buffalo being an offensive foul.
Their first matchup just turned it over 8 times in a win against Bowling Green.
Well, you would think, particularly with the edge 15-0, that if the Bulls play like this in any NCAA tournament game, if they get that far, they're going to be hard to knock out.
And as we said, they've got good balance. They don't have to rely on one guy to score the basketball. You look tonight, Wes Clark really struggling to shoot it. Just 0 points in that first half, 0 for 5 from the floor. Yet they've got a comfortable 13-point lead.
Never been really threatened in this game. Another live ball turnover and a 4-on-2. And Clark with the blow-by.
And they're not going to be threatened if Bowling Green keeps turning the basketball over.
Which Michael Huger, their young head coach, said we cannot do. Tough drive there to the goal. Follow-up, though, good by Antoine Lillard.
He was looking for the foul call, but smartly stayed with it long enough to get his own miss.
Harris for 3, and with Jeremy Harris, who shoots the 3, quite well for Buffalo gets going. Look out.
Well, that's like we said, Jim. He can be their X factor. And the X factor for this team to be able to make some noise, if they're able to get lucky enough to win 3 in Cleveland, is that 3-point shot. You look back to earlier in the season against Texas A&M, they knocked in 17 threes. If they can make threes at that type of pace, they're really dangerous.
Harris has got 2 so far. That's a catch and shoot 3.
Well, that was almost right on cue.
Yeah. Buffalo would have extended the lead to its largest of the game if CJ had hit it. Koch back the other way. And Turner flying in at the last moment at least kept Buffalo from a rebound and a particular opportunity, another fast break.
Well, it starts with the solid defense and closing out. You get a hand on the basketball, and here comes Clark. Pushing the pace, able to finish with his left hand that time. And here's why they're so tough. Whether in transition or the half court, so many options, including Harris, who shoots it at 42% from deep. And he's a high-volume three-point shooter.
For the game, the Bulls have 6 made threes and now have the largest lead at 18 on another layup by Clark.
And that's what we're talking about. Clark 0 for 5 in the first half. Perfect 2 for 2 here.
Smart plan, too, to get him off to start the second half.
Clearly, without question, they've got the most offense options by far in this league.
Lillard trying to fake out Massenberg, who was able to hang right with him and block the ball out of bounds.
Wes Clark on the tough crossover again. You think he's going to get to the high ball screen. Instead, he rejects it and beats you to the rim.
Didn't play his first game for the Bulls until December 19th when he became eligible. That was a game against Syracuse, a game in which Buffalo almost won.
And in his very first game at home against NJIT, he put up 27 points with 6 assists, including 13 in overtime as they got the win. So introduced himself to everybody back in Buffalo in a big way.
Now, how would you know anything about that game? Your brother, fine coach of NJIT, which lost a tough one in a tournament game this past week after trailing by 26. Got within 1, but eventually was eliminated.
Yep, can't get down by 26, but a valiant effort. Nice ball fake, and look at that finish all the way to the other side of the rim. C.J. Massenberg's got a terrific offensive game.
9-2 start for Buffalo to begin the second half. With that, timeout, Bowling Green. It's full timeout, and 4 minutes in, the Bulls are picking up right where they left off, Rob, in the first half.
And everybody into the act. And a terrific finish on the other side by C.J. Massenberg out to the 20-point lead, trying to run away and hide.
Time now for Rob and myself to blow up the Twitter account of Antonio Daniels, give him some face time. The former Bowling Green star played 13 seasons in the league, had almost 3,000 assists, just 42 years of age. Looks like he could still play the college game, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, you and I saw him at shoot-around. If he had eligibility, they'd throw him right back in there, and he would have no problem being able to compete.
He was a first-round pick. Remember this team, the Vancouver Grizzlies. Back in 1997, he was picked 4th in the draft, played for 7 different teams, did Antonio, and won a world championship, with the San Antonio Spurs in 1999.
He still lives in San Antonio and came to be able to get a chance to talk to the team pregame. Hasn't worked so far as they're down by 22.
By the way, Daniels was MAC Player of the Year back in the late 90s. Yeah, young man, he's not worried about the score. He says, hey, we'll get him next year. 61-39 our score. Nate Oates' team is back on the bus when this game is over to Buffalo. 22-8 for the season, 14-3 in the league. BPI at 93, RPI at 34. And right now, Joey Brackett, Joe Lunardi of ESPN says that's a 13 spot for them in the NCAA tournament. They've had a quality win against Toledo, some bad losses. Maybe, just maybe, might have gotten a hint of a look if they had run the table and been undefeated in conference play. That hasn't happened, so it's a moot point at this point.
Yeah, no, they're going to have to play their way and win their way into the NCAA tournament. But certainly, when you look at their RPI at 34, especially early on, the fact that they've got no wins against the RPI top 50, no wins in that first quadrant, that basically is going to take them off the board for any at-large possibility. I'm telling you, as a 13 seed, maybe they could sneak to a 12 seed. They're one of those teams that could, if they make shots, if they shoot the ball from 3, they could really give people problems in that first round matchup, if they can get there.
They played 3 quality games this year to the Bulls. and lost all three of them closely to Texas A&M, Cincinnati, and Syracuse. And had the fortunes been reversed and won maybe a couple of those, we likely would be talking about them in terms of an NCAA at large. And you see by the numbers, 3 MAC losses by combined 8 points.
And remember, the game against Cincinnati, as well as the loss against St. Bonaventure, as Bonnie's making a run and playing really well coming down the stretch. Those were without Wes Clark. And then Clark's first 2 games, where again, it's going to take a little while to get into the mix and get yourself into the flow with everybody. His first 2 games were at Syracuse and at Texas A&M.
And Buffalo may not be the only Western New York team to make the tournament if the Bulls do. St. Bonnie is having a great year. St. Bonaventure, a chance to win the A-10, and don't count out Niagara or Canisius for the other MAC conference.
Yep, a lot of good basketball playing in the city of Buffalo.
The other night, St. Bonaventure beat Davidson in 3 overtimes, 117 to 113, in which 5 different players had 30 points or better. What a game.
And right now, Joey Brackets has Bonnie's as one of the last 4 buys in the NCAA tournament. Here's that good ball reversal. Again, so many guys that you have to worry about. A little stare down by Carruthers after he knocks that one in.
Dante's not a huge scorer for this team. Although he's had moments, he's really known more as a defensive star. And he was certainly the league's top defensive player last year. Says somewhere down the line wants to be an ESPN broadcaster. Clark swings it over to Carruthers. Drives the baseline, left it just a little short. 6 minutes into the second half, live on senior night from Bowling Green. Maction. Action in the Mid-American Conference. The Ohio Valley coming up with a doubleheader right after this one. That's DiMaggio Wiggins.
And Wiggins able to post up and basically run Perkins up the line to allow for the alley-oop over top.
Clark got past everybody.
Yeah, he's got such blow-by speed off that high ball screen. And we've seen him a couple of times reject it, cross over, and then cross up the defense.
Sure seems like it was part of the plan at halftime to get Clark involved, since he had a scoreless first half. Let's take a look at play earlier on Buffalo's offense, which right now has them in a commanding 66-44 lead. Take a look first off, though, at Bowling Green's offense and the ability, on rare occasions, to find DiMaggio Wiggins, and then back to Clark.
And just able to split the defender. You're worrying about the high ball screen, and makes you pay.
Wiggins will clean that one up. He should have had an and one. Instead, he'll have to earn the 2 free throws. Bowling Green has a rebounding edge of 30 to 20, so if you were Buffalo, should that be a concern?
Yeah, the problem is, you're not missing a whole lot of shots, right?
Right.
At times, but yeah, and one thing with Buffalo, they're 16-2 when they out-rebound their opponents, but Bowling Green, especially as of late, because of the big guy on the line, have out-rebounded their opponent in 7 straight for Mike Huger and 15 of the last 19. Unfortunately, that hasn't made much of a difference tonight.
If you're just joining us, Buffalo came out and nailed 10 of its first 12 shots from the floor and has not looked back. And in the second half, Wes Clark, the senior guard who hails from Detroit, has really got it amped up.
As you've said a couple of times, Jim, rightfully so, looks like it was concerted effort to try and get him going here in the second half, and he's responded.
Bulls 70, Falcons 44. Going for the sweep. They've had a number of them this year in the MAC. Matthew Fox on senior night, blocked by Perkins.
As good as their offense has been, you can't forget how solid and tough their defense has been.
And Wes Clark, who had nothing in the first half, has now reached double figures. And with that, another Bowling Green timeout.
And a good timeout right there, as this one has started to get away from the Falcons.
A step aside. With 12:15 remaining in this game, it's all Bulls, as we pretty much expected. turning good defense into offense. Leading now by nearly 30.
Do you believe in second chances?
Walker, Hardy, and Kemba!
Well, here is the new beginning.
Knocked out the shot clock. Are you serious?
Get ready right now with Champ Week.
Champ Week, presented by Prism on ESPN.
Welcome to ESPN's coverage of college basketball regular season. And if the MAC tournament ended today, these would be the first round matchups with the teams on top for the first round as the home teams. But again, everything pretty much up for grabs. We know this much. The quarterfinals are pretty well settled. The top 4 seeds, beginning with Buffalo. I'll get a chance to see that tournament in person on Thursday at Quicken Loans. Looking forward to it.
Yep, should be a good one. And Eastern Michigan has already secured one of those buys as well. So 3 of them in the books and 1 still up for grabs as we get to play here on the last day. And now with the suspended and postponed game at Central Michigan, with the incident that went on at campus there today, there'll be one other day of basketball to be played outside the MAC besides today.
You're right. We still have another position in the top 4 to settle. And all positions are up for grabs except for the top 2, which are Buffalo and Toledo. And perhaps a bit unfair to Toledo, the Rockets played the Bulls just once, and that started the conference season. That game was in Buffalo.
Yeah, back on January 2nd when Nate Oates' team put up 104 points in that win. So heading into this last games, you've got Ball State, Kent State, and Western Michigan all still fighting for that last bye.
As Derek Koch hit his second field goal of the game, gives him 5 points, makes the score 74-47. Buffalo started the beginning of this game shooting 10 of 12 from the floor and started the second half 10 of 13.
And Bowling Green goes zone, and why not? Man hasn't been working as Buffalo's had their way.
But coaches, by and large, don't like to use zones unless you're Jim Boeheim and his protege at Eastern Michigan. I mean, it's just not their thing. And it's funny when they talk about it, they mention it almost as an afterthought. Graves banks in a 3. That looked like the Virginia finish against Louisville.
Yeah, it wasn't at the buzzer and it wasn't a dagger like DeAndre Hunter's 3 at the buzzer against Louisville last night. But much like that, he didn't call glass either.
No, didn't need to last night. 19,000 stunned at the Yum Center. In a finish for the ages in which number 1 Virginia scored 5 points with .9 left to win. Inside Perkins, he loves to use the glass, does he not?
Absolutely, and he's got that flat shot, Jim, but because he puts it on the glass, he's able to get it to go. You're right, it's part of the lost art of basketball, using the backboard. This one was not intended to go off the bank, but this was on the turnaround. Perkins, again, that's a line drive, knocking it right in.
What was it, the old style UCLA Bruins used to use it a lot under John Wooden?
Absolutely. On pretty much any wing shot, they were putting the ball up against the glass. Kelly Tripucka was great at that, too.
He was.
Used to see Kelly Tripucka play not only in college, one of my favorites when I was a Notre Dame fan growing up, but as well in the Jersey Shore Summer League. And they used to have these metal backboards. And I'm telling you, he would throw it so hard against that backboard, the thing looked like it had a dent in it around the square.
Mike Summey, one of the fine coaches of the Falcons, who hails from the Research Triangle area, North Carolina State, talked about Tripucka and how much he was loved by the people in the Carolina area when they first got an NBA franchise back in the 80s, along with Muggsy Bogues and a number of other players from ACC or areas that were quite popular in the country. And in fact, Summey was also telling us today that Bogues, of all people, was a hit at 5 for 3 with the little kids. And the kids would always request their parents to have Muggsy come to a birthday party. And in which the parents would say, you know, don't count on it. And Muggsy would get an invitation at his house and he would show up.
That's pretty cool.
Derek Koch, still a lot of basketball left for him, just a freshman from West Salem, Ohio. Did not play last Saturday and did not start today because Matt Fox got the honors as the only senior on senior night. Good deflection by Turner. And before he could race to the goal, Wes Clark got a hold of him.
And that was Bowling Green's first steal of the game and just the second turnover. And they did it with a little extended full court pressure, so just trying to change up defenses. Get yourself down by 30, and you know, next time out is going to be do or die situation, survive in advance. If you win, you keep playing. If you lose, your season's over. So for Mike Huger and his staff, this game may be over, but certainly you got to figure out a way to get your team going in the right direction. And we talked about it earlier. You know, a couple of weeks ago, they had won 4 out of 5 before they went up to Buffalo. Bulls ended up handling them. Since then, they've lost 4 in a row. And except for a big comeback here, heading towards a potential 5th straight loss.
Bowling Green will have to depend on the Central Michigan game to determine if this lead holds, and it likely will. If this lead holds, that Central Michigan loss would still give the Falcons a home game on Monday. Again, the terrible tragedy on campus today has postponed the game and all other athletic activity until it's to be determined when things are safe. To the free throw line, C.J. Massenberg, who says he plays with a chip on his shoulder because out of college or out of high school, very few were interested. But some of that may have had to do with the fact that there was a fair amount of talent in the Dallas area, and he played on some talented teams, but was not the major focus. And because of that, likely was not somebody that was being attended to.
And Dustin May, who at that time was an assistant coach at Louisiana Tech, now at Florida. Good friends with Nate Oates from recruiting some of Nate's guys when he was a high school coach. And when he got the head job, they were looking for guys. As you always do, you go to your contacts. And Dustin said, hey, there's this kid down in Dallas. He's still available. So it was the last weekend of the live recruiting period. Jim Whitesell, the assistant coach, got a chance to see him in an AAU tournament up in Indianapolis, of all places. And things worked out pretty well from there, I'd say.
Oh, my goodness.
Talk about working out well. Oh, my.
Hello, Sports Center.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
When we get a chance, we'll only show it to you a dozen times.
Look at CJ laughing. That's the worst pass he's had all season.
They need to stop play for this. That was good for 3. Should have been more.
That woke the crowd up. They've not had a whole lot to cheer about.
That's an unassisted 3, by the way. So we've seen a couple of bank 3s here in the second half.
Look at how they share the basketball.
Pretty. Very pretty.
I mean, Harris had enough time to lace it up. I mean, turn the basketball, line up the laces, and just talk about uncontested 3. That one was just like you like it, and just how you set it up to stroke a 3. But we saw one earlier. That's not how you set it up.
This is incredible.
Everything's going your way when you throw a bad pass and it banks in.
Look at the bench.
That is a top 10 nominee. Absolutely. That's not a buzzer beater, but it's still going to make it there.
Wow. All right, Coach, I want to know how many times do you think they'll show this on the bus on the 6-hour trip back to Buffalo tonight? The extension and then a 3-point assist/shot of C.J. Massenberg. It was intended to be a 2-point assist.
Like I said, that's probably his worst pass of the whole season. See Nate Oates.
Yeah,
the best part was seeing Nate run back. Okay, let's defend.
Hey, we're only up by 30 now. Let's not get cocky.
The rest of the bench is falling over, laughing. And there's the intensity of Nate Oates. Get back. I love it.
I know it's not the same thing, but when Jerome Lane had the send it in Jerome goal breaker, and the shot heard around the world at Pitt when he brought down the basket. Paul Evans, then the coach at Pitt, was asked about the celebration afterwards that the kids were going to go out. He said, I don't have to worry about Jerome. He'll be inside his hotel or inside his apartment looking at the highlight all night long. I think CJ deserves that same opportunity. 2 more Saturday showcase games presented by 5 Hour Energy for You. That includes number 6 Kansas, already the all-time regular season championship consecutive holder at 14 straight years against Oklahoma State. 5 double-figure scores for KU. Devontae Graham averaging 17-7, and right after that, Louisville against NC State and Raleigh. KU projected as the overall number 1 seed. Potentially, right now it actually belongs to Virginia, but KU will get a 1 seed at this point. The Jayhawks, what do you think about old-time UCLA and how many championships John Wooden won in a row in the conference, and now Kansas is better than that by 1.
And for somebody to do it at the Power 5 level like Kansas has done, and what Devontae Graham did coming down the stretch, not only the stretch of the game at Texas Tech, but the stretch of the season, he has been impressive. There's certain guys that are winners, there are other guys that are champions. He's a champion.
He's a must-see tomorrow as part of that doubleheader on ESPN. Harris had a couple of threes earlier. This is there, and there's the hard-working Perkins, whom we highlighted to start the show, and he took an extra step. 2, and Nate Oates will dispute it, but not very loudly. Now when you're up by 30, and that's just the 3rd Buffalo turnover with 7 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, and only one of them was a live ball turnover that they turned it over one time against the extended pressure, but they score a lot of points, and once again did it today. Lead the country 24th time that Nate Oates' team has been able to tag 80 or more on their opponent. They're 20-3 on the season when they do that. Looks like that's going to go to 21-3. So you better figure out how to slow the Bulls down if you're going to beat them in Cleveland.
Well, and on Selection Sunday, if Buffalo makes the tournament, and again, we'll have to win the tournament to the conference tournament, get into the NCAA tournament, I can't imagine any coach in the country wants to see them in their bracket, particularly in the opening game matchup.
No, and I tell you what, if somebody doesn't figure out how to slow the pace down in Cleveland,
good point,
then somebody's going to see them on Selection Sunday.
Yep.
But if somebody figures out how to slow the pace down and be able to get the game down into the 60s or 70s, then that's where I think you have an opportunity to beat the Bulls. I don't think you're going to beat them by outscoring them.
Had a game recently against Kent State in which it had a 19-point lead. Buffalo lost it and lost the game. That was maybe an aberration. Bulls did go on to lose twice more in the conference, but have already secured the 1 seed and a bye to Thursday's action, which will be quarterfinals.
I mean, you think about those 3 losses inside the MAC, Jim. I mean, they lost in overtime by 2 on the road, and they lost by 3 on the road, and by 3 on the road.
Yeah. You saw the numbers earlier graphically, 3 losses by combined 8 points. And a number of losses in non-conference play that were separated by 2 possessions or less.
I think the thing that's been so impressive here tonight is the maturity that they've shown. You and I talked about it. Not a lot on the line. They had already locked up the number 1 seed. Look, they don't want to share the MAC championship. They want to certainly hold it outright, but the intensity that they've shown on the defensive end right from the start of this ball game and their efficient offense has been impressive.
Well, their head coach Nate Oates said prior to the game that he was approaching this, and you mentioned it earlier, as a first-round tournament game, and they certainly have treated it with all that significance, even though certainly it doesn't matter. But it matters to Buffalo, and they have played like it matters.
And you know what? It does matter if you can win up in Cleveland the 3 games. It matters for your seeding.
Sure.
But more so for Nate Oates, it's you want to be playing well going into Cleveland, right? And so this is, again, you challenge your team. You say, let's treat this as a first-round game. Let's see if we can turn up the defensive intensity for 40 minutes. And his team has responded.
And he's up by 31, and if you didn't know the score, you'd assume it was tied, just by facial expressions and how he continues to work with the officials, or work the officials. That probably never stops, though, when you're a coach.
Well, you don't want your players to let up, and if you don't want your players to let up, then you can't let up.
And you don't want the officials to let up either. Good pass inside Harris and scores, and credit Devontae Jordan with a nice assist there.
And put it to the floor with the bounce pass. Good job as well by Harris to come up with the clean catch.
Speaking of coach's intensity, it's away from here, but Gary Clark, who stars for Cincinnati, had a game in which the Bearcats were blowing out their opponent. And a call win against Cincinnati late in the game. And Clark mildly protested the officials, and the officials said, look, have a little mercy on your opponent. And Clark's reaction is, hey, you don't know our coach, Rick Cronin. And I imagine Nate's a little bit like that, too, in terms of keeping the pressure on for the entire 40. On everybody, for that matter. Good drop down, Smart. No assist for Jordan this time, but he cannot. Will step to the free throw line. The Falcons continue to play hard, but it's a very youthful group, just one senior. And they'll have a chance to make some progress in the league next year.
Gadsden, one of those freshmen. 6 freshmen on the roster. Able to clean that one up.
And remember, Gadsden had that game-tying home run in a wiffle ball game yesterday for the coach's team that Michael Huger likely will never forget.
Well, he may forget it because it didn't work. So might be a while since they play wiffle ball again.
Yeah, it certainly didn't work in terms of this game. You're right. Not trailing by 32, but frankly, Bowling Green wasn't expected to win tonight. I don't think this is a surprise. What may be a little surprising is how the Bulls played so well from the start of the first half to this point in the game with 5 to go.
Yeah, because they've never really been threatened.
No. Not the only category the Falcons have won has been rebounding. That edge by 3. Good looking shot there by Antoine Lillard.
And he's been struggling from 3 coming in over the last 4 games, just 2 of 13. So maybe that can get him going. If they're going to have any chance to win that first round game, whether it's here or on the road, they got to start making some outside shots. They got to get some scoring outside of Turner and Wiggins, who have been there throughout. They need that 3rd or 4th score to be able to help win games.
Speaking of Lillard, he had 5 threes in the MAC championship game against Buffalo back in 2016. That was a game the Bulls won under Bobby Hurley, as that team was able to reach the NCAA tournament in Nate Oates' first year under Hurley. (93-64) is our score. The benches are starting to be empty. That's it for Justin Turner, who had a solid first half with 14. He winds up with 21 for the game, but as he did last time, Rob, against Buffalo, he had to earn his points. He was 8 of 19 shooting the first time and now 6 of 17 today, so they have made him work a lot.
Every time he's caught the basketball, the defense is selling out, trying to take him away.
C.J. Massenberg started out on him defensively. Jordan is tripped underneath the basket with 3:54 to go. And that'll be our final television timeout of the game, and hopefully Jordan is okay, because he's in some pain right now on the baseline. This could be a very difficult loss for the Bulls on the cusp of the MAC tournament in less than a week.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And Sam Adams. Fill your glass.
Bulls wanted very much to win this game tonight, despite nothing at stake. They'll do that, but also wanted to get through this game without an injury, and that may not have been accomplished as Devontae Jordan went down hard. The question is, did he bump knees? Was there a strain there? Was it Charlie horse? Here's a look at the play moments ago as he goes up against Gadsden and then hits the floor.
It looked like he and Gadsden collided, as you said. Hopefully just a Charlie horse, but certainly that's the last thing you want. Jordan, their starting point guard, both he and Wes Clark sharing some of those point guard responsibilities throughout the season.
He's trying to challenge Gadsden inside. Got a second man to try to put it up, and there's contact. And let's see if Janae picked up the personal foul, which I believe he did. So the health of Devontae Jordan will be a question when this game concludes. By the way, Brooke Bertram, 41, now in the game for the Bulls. And I thought I saw a smile there, did I?
Yeah, they've had a lot to smile about with the effort, but they'll not be smiling about the fact that Jordan went down hard. See him still in pain.
Applying the ice. There'll be more of that on the 5 to 6 hour bus trip back to Buffalo as Rob and I will be wrapping up things in the remaining 3:40. A game dominated by the Bulls. Now been able to go to the bench. 21 is Dominic Johnson now in the game for Buffalo, along with Graves, Dante Carruthers, Brooke Bertram, and the other big kid, number 1, Montrell McCray. And the Bulls are on the threshold of 100. Had 93 in the first one against Bowling Green 3 weeks ago. It's a good offensive game for Javon Graves, Rob. He has 12.
Making the most of a little extra opportunity as far as minutes are concerned.
That's the big question now is, will Michael Huger, the Bowling Green coach, go to his secret weapon, Mitch Bailey, a converted manager into player on senior night?
Well, he told us before the game he was only getting in there if they were up 30 or down 30.
And there he is right in the middle of your picture.
Just a thrill for him to be able to put the jersey on today.
Bailey tried to make the team as a walk-on, and instead DeAndre Austin was able to beat him out for that spot, but continued as student manager. And he said, look, I'm just thrilled to get an opportunity here, and I'll do whatever the guys want me to do. And right now, the only question is, will he get a chance to get some playing time?
Well, hopefully he does. And what a great honor and what a great gesture by Mike Huger. You know, Mike, for a long time, I recruited him when I was an assistant coach at Monmouth, didn't get him. Instead, he came here to Bowling Green, worked out well for him. But nice gesture.
Mike, the 6th all-time leading scorer in three-point shots for the Falcons from 1989 to 1993.
He was a heck of a player for Jim Larinaga here. Went to a couple of NITs. Was the MAC Player of the Year back in 1993.
Good head and shoulder fake there, and basket scored by Nellie Cummings. Rennell Cummings the second. I think he was impressed. We knew his first name today. A big grin on his face. We said, hello, Rennell. Known as Nellie.
He said, boy, Jim, you've done your homework.
Yeah. Freshman guard from Midland, Pennsylvania. As we're down to 2 minutes for the game. Bertram with the left hand and the basket.
Now using his size to go clean it up on the backboard.
So Brock in the scoring column, and unofficially that's 10 players that have now scored for the Bulls in this game. In fact, when this game started, they got off to that electric start. Everybody had shared in the scoring that had played. 90 seconds to go. Ohio Valley Conference play coming up. Doubleheader tonight on the U. 8 Eastern, and then the nightcap at roughly 10. So we've talked enough about the Bulls' chances to win conference tournament. How about Bowling Green, and how far can the Falcons stretch things?
Well, they've got to turn things around. They've got to play better if they're going to win a first-round game and get to Cleveland. Whether or not that game's here at home or on the road, Mike Huger's team's got to take better care of the basketball, and then they got to start guarding better. As we said, they're last in the league, giving up 77 a game, and that number's going to grow after Buffalo has got 98 on them. Bulls trying to get to the century mark for the 4th time this season.
Buck 15 remains.
And certainly heading into Cleveland, Jim, there's a number of teams that certainly can give a tough matchup to Buffalo. Obviously, Toledo had a good game against them, and Todd Kowalczyk's team's playing terrific. Krishan Fletcher, who will probably end up being the MAC Player of the Year, and a guy that can tag you and beat you in a lot of different ways. And certainly Eastern Michigan, one of those teams that can slow the game down Rob Murphy's team playing well. They've won 5 in a row. They're playing up at Toledo tonight. Their style of play could give the Bulls a little bit of trouble.
All-State Cardinals had a run going earlier this year as well, so it's true. A number of teams got a shot on senior night. Matt Fox hits a shot with under a minute to go, and there's the student manager applauding that. Slash player Mitch Bailey. And somebody just hollered out, "We want Bailey." And it wasn't me. Bertram gets his second field goal. So the Falcons will await the results of Central Michigan in its final MAC regular season game when that's played. And if CMU wins, Bowling Green's on the road. If CMU loses, Falcons will be at home Monday night and could very likely wind up playing Central Michigan. More on that later, but that'll do it here.
An impressive win as Buffalo puts up 100 on the scoreboard, but showing you that maturity of a team that may not have had a whole lot to play for since they already had the #1 seed wrapped up. But they showed they are unquestionably the favorite heading into the MAC tournament in Cleveland.
Nate Oates' team had 50 in the first half, duplicated that in the second half with, again, some outstanding shooting. And the Bulls get the sweep of the Falcons 100-70. Fourth team in MAC history with 15-plus conference wins in a year as they finish at 15-3 and the outright MAC conference winner for the regular season. A reminder, the Ohio Valley men's semifinals coming up next on to you. OVC Player of the Year, that's Jonathan Stark. He had 32 against Jackson State just a couple of weeks ago. A lead #1 seeded Murray State against JSU, followed by #2 seeded Belmont and #3 seeded Austin P. Not to anyone's surprise, the #1 team in the MAC. Impressive tonight, 100-70. Jim Barber, the coach Rob Kennedy. It's now the Bulls have a little time off, but they'll be in Cleveland as early as Tuesday to get ready for the tournament on Thursday.
And I tell you what, if they played with the intensity on the defensive end that they showed from the beginning of the game and shoot it as well as they did when they went 10 for 12 to start it, they'll be a tough out in Cleveland.
Yeah, in fact, in the first half, 10 of 12 shooting got them off to a great start. Again, if the tournament ended today, these are your first-round matchups, all at college campuses, all with the teams on top, serving as the home teams, but getting to the quarterfinals already for Buffalo, Ball State, Toledo, Eastern Michigan as of tonight. That is more significant.
Yeah, absolutely, and still a lot to be determined, including who's going to get that 4th seed. But no matter how the bracket shapes up, there's no question that Buffalo's the favorite going in. But as we talked about at the end of the game, certainly they've got plenty of teams that can give them a run. Toledo has played well throughout the regular season. And Eastern Michigan, I'll tell you what, with that 2-3 zone, as I said, I don't know if you can outrun the Bulls. I don't know if you can beat them going up and down throughout. But certainly Eastern Michigan, with their style of play, has got the ability to slow that game down and maybe make it interesting.
Final score again, Buffalo 100, Bowling Green 70. And that wraps it up for us here from the campus of Bowling Green. Next on to you, Ohio Valley men's semifinals. J-State and Murray State coming up. So long from Bowling Green.